turns to light. The promised land is inside. He is our guiding star by night, and in the day our bright sunlight. And when he's sailing with our Father, you know his ship will never sway. Oh, new hope on the horizon. We found the promised land today. And when he's sailing with our Father, you know his ship will never sway. Oh, new hope on the horizon. We found the promised land today. And when he's sailing with our Father, you know his ship will never sway. Oh, new hope on the horizon. We found the promised land today. We found the promised land today. We found the promised land today.
All right, good morning, brothers and sisters, my wonderful family from around the world. Welcome to National Family Service. My name is Isaac Hernandez, and I'll be your host this morning. I'm just so grateful, so happy that you're with us this morning, that you're spending time, your Sunday, with us. I really hope that through this service, you can feel God's love and God's presence with you and your family, wherever you are. And we just want to thank you and welcome you once again. So let's get started. We're going to kick it off with an opening song.
For our opening song today, we'll be hearing from Camp Lone Star in Texas, singing the holy song, Unified Soldiers. Let's sing along with them.
Stand up, get out of bed, get off the couch. We're about to sing Unified Soldiers. Pour your heart into it. Strong banner, fighters of force, bringing the world into life. Join in our kinship of love, all shall live as one. Here in the home of the heart, we'll share evermore of this salvation of happiness we shall live forever. We're in Christ everywhere, unified soldiers, unleashed with one accord. We shall march on. True men of balance shall make magnifying their love. Glorious speakers of truth, all things of the earth. From that original word, life will spring and grow in its expression begins to all the fulfillment of the word is right.
Thank you, Camp Lone Star, for that fun opening song. Now we're going to Dallas, Texas to join State Leader Reverend Hideyuki Sakai for our opening prayer.
Good morning, everyone. Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Parents, thank you very much for this wonderful, beautiful morning. We gather together to hear your voice today and to start a brand new week together with you, Heavenly Parents. So we really want to open our heart completely and receive your word. We really want to prepare our mind and heart and the body to listen to you, and that we can really start a new week together with you, Heavenly Parents. Please speak through our speaker today, President Now Kimi, Heavenly Parents. So through him, you can talk to us, and we receive your word in heart, and we promise that we respond to it, Heavenly Parents. So we know that you've been looking for us for such a long time. So we have the way to come back to you, Heavenly Parents. By your word and by your love, we can come back to you. We can restore the original relationship with you, Heavenly Parents, as your children, Heavenly Parents. So we want to know you more because you are our parents. We want to really understand your heart because you are our parents and we are your children, Heavenly Parents. So everything starts with you, Heavenly Parents. So together with you, we want to move forward and walk through this coming week, every day, resurrect every day, coming back to you, bit by bit, even step by step. So you want to really restore the original relationship with you, Heavenly Parents. So thank you very much. Please be with us this morning. Please guide this Sunday service from the beginning to the end so that we can really feel your heart and love. And so we can start this new week with the power and the determination. Thank you very much again. With all the brothers and sisters, a deep prayer, I report this in the name of Hideyuki Sakai Blessed Family. Adieu.
Good morning. Welcome to the National Family Service.
Our international community was founded by Father and Mother Moon, whom we call our true parents.
True parents have taken up the mission bestowed upon them by Jesus Christ to help us all reconnect and fortify our relationship with God through a deeper understanding called the Divine Principle, and by receiving the Holy Marriage Blessing.
To learn more about our community, just type #Connect on the Facebook chat or sign the guest book on the nationalfamilyservice.org.
On our website, you'll find all the links you'll need for tithing, community meetups, kid resources, and more.
We'd love to hear your ideas and feedback at any time.
Just hit the send message button on our Facebook page to chat with one of our online ushers.
Thank you for joining us today. We can't wait to get connected with you.
Thank you. We're so blessed to have this national service. At the same time, we don't want to forget about our local communities. We want to make sure we're continuing to support them, and also that we can also make our tithe. So at this time, I'd like to encourage everyone, if you're live on Facebook, you can type #tithe in the Facebook chat, or you can visit nationalfamilyservice.org and go to the drop-down menu for local church and then click the Give button. So while we're doing that and taking time to give our tithe, let's enjoy this beautiful offering song.
For our offering song today, let's go to Little Rock, Arkansas, where Maya Jackson Wen will sing a heartfelt song called Prayer for a Friend.
Lord, I lift my friend to you. I for your wisdom, oh God, and a heart that's sincere. Lord, I lift my friend up to you. Lord, I lift my friend to you, my best friend in the world. I know she means so much more to you. I want so much to help her, but this is something she has to do. Lord, I lift my friend up to you. 'Cause there's a way that seems so right to her, and you know where that leads. She's becoming a prophet of the world, too blind to see the streets. Lord, I lift my friend up to you. My friend up to you. Lord, I lift my friend to you. I've done all that I know to do. I lift my friend to you.
Wow. Thank you, Maya. Thank you so much for that beautiful song. And thank you, brothers and sisters, for making your tithes and offerings. At this time, it's my pleasure and joy to welcome our Family Federation President for America, President Naokimi Ushiroda, who's going to give our main message today. So welcome, President Naokimi.
Thank you, Isaac. I'm hearing an echo. All right, thank you. All right, good morning, everyone from America and beyond. Happy Sunday. So today, we wanted to, actually last week we covered a topic on the secret to true freedom. And if you can remember, one of the main points there was that really the key to freedom is to take responsibility in your life. And also when you engage in loving others or living for the sake of others, that's where you're going to find the deepest sense of freedom in your life. Now today, I wanted to cover the topic of discovering my original value. You know, one question came to mind when I was preparing for this message, and that was, where does our value come from? These days, I noticed that many are struggling with some loneliness and depression, a lack of self-worth. And I think the pandemic has exacerbated the situation due to quarantine and separation and isolation. And also it's winter season, where typically people are more indoors, maybe not going outside enough to get their vitamin D. So there are many factors that are contributing to this sense of kind of this loneliness. And even those who are successful or financially or even famous, many people, many of us actually experience this lack of self-value. And I really want to go into this today from a principle perspective, to really understand that the reason why people tend to not feel their value is because they don't really understand and know how to apply this principle and feel what their original value is. So I'm going to read from a passage in the Divine Principle. How is a being's original created value determined? The value of an entity may be determined by the relationship between its purpose of existence and the desire that a human being has for it. To be more precise, the value of an entity intended at its creation is not fixed as an inherent attribute. Rather, it is established through the mutual relationship between the purpose of the entity according to God's ideal of creation and people's original desire to treasure it and bring out its true worth. So this is from the Divine Principle, page 36. So according to this passage, the fulfillment of the original value for any entity is dependent on two things. The first is really understanding the original purpose of that object as God intended. And the second is that it actually requires a human being's desire for that object in order for it to fulfill its original value. So let's take an example. Consider a rose. This is an extension of that passage. How is its original beauty determined? It is determined when the purpose for which God created the flower and the divinely given human desire to appreciate and bring out its beauty are fulfilled together. So what that passage is saying is that, you know, the flower, of course, it needs the proper nutrients, the sun, the air, the elements to really blossom fully to its full potential as a rose. And maybe it's really nicely shaped, smells nice, looks beautiful. And that's one of the key factors. It's you know, fulfilling its original intended purpose to be beautiful, to smell nice. However, if there's no human beings to appreciate it, then it's actually not able to fulfill its original purpose. It's kind of like, you know, if we understand that God created the universe almost like preparing all the equipment for, you know, when parents are getting ready to have children, they prepare all the crib, the toys, the, you know, babyfying or protecting all the corners. All these things is what was prepared for the sake of the child, for the children. Same thing, God created this universe for the sake of really bringing joy and interacting with human beings, because human beings were created as his children. So even these beautiful flowers, unless it's really appreciated by human beings, it doesn't fulfill its original potential. Let's take another example. How is the original value of a violin fulfilled? So we know that, you know, a violin is designed to play beautiful music. But let's say you've never seen a violin before, or I don't know, you're a caveman or something, and you just came across this instrument. You might be familiar with the materials like wood, and you could potentially use it, you know, for firewood. And in case you were cold and you're out in the woods and you needed, well, actually, if you're out in the woods, you don't really need firewood. But anyway, point is, if you don't know the purpose of an entity, you could use it for alternative purposes, but it won't be fulfilling its original purpose. So if you really want to fulfill the original purpose of an entity to get its full value, it's important to understand the creator's intention behind that object. Does that make sense? So whoever designed the violin, they had an intention in mind. By understanding that, we can fully bring out its full potential. So we can use that for roses and violins, but how about humans? How about humans? How are the original value of human beings determined? Well, let's apply the same formula. So the first factor in understanding one's original value is to understand God's intention for human beings. So if we look at the passage in Genesis 1:28, it says, God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. So this was the first statement to Adam and Eve at the beginning in biblical history, after the creation of Adam and Eve, kind of giving a guideline as to what they're supposed to be doing. So God did give some guidelines in terms of what is the purpose of human beings. And to simplify it in principle terms, it's really, fruitful means to mature ourselves as individuals. Multiply or increase in number means to create families and tribes. And subdue the earth means really to have proper dominion and become a co-creator with God using our unique talents and strengths. So without understanding this basic criteria of what God intended, then we might become like that firewood. If we don't understand what God basically intended for human beings, then we could end up really not going less than what we're intended to. And many times I think this is the essence of why people experience midlife crisis is, they work hard, they earn money and they pay the bills, and they continue to work to pay the bills. And it's like, human beings are created for more than just labor, right? There's something more to our purpose in life than work. And so if we really want to fulfill our original value, we need to understand how God designed us as human beings to fully function. This is a nice quote that I found. The rhythm of delight, the rhythm that brings God and human beings together in harmony, is the expression of joy. I really like this. I'm going to read it again. The rhythm of delight, the rhythm that brings God and human beings together in harmony, is the expression of joy. So one thing that the principle really clarifies is that even these three great blessings, be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion, the purpose of these things is ultimately for us to experience joy together with God. If we mature well, then we're going to find joy in our own self-mastery. If we are able to create a beautiful family, there's tremendous joy that can be experienced there. And when we really hone in our skills and can co-create to make and be a contribution to society and the world, we're going to experience even greater joy in our life. But ultimately, it's kind of like a parent-child. God as a parent, wants us to experience these joys. But as a parent, also, the parent feels tremendous joy when the children are doing well. So ultimately, our purpose as human being is to fulfill these three great blessings and to experience joy together with God. So let's break that down into these two factors. Actually, there's three. So to fulfill your original value, you need to first know God's intention, or our purpose of existence, as was described earlier. And I want to add one kind of additional point here. It's good to know the basic purpose of what God wants, just like, parents want us to do well as children. But we also need to customize our purpose. And what I mean by that is, as individuals, we're responsible to really identify what are our unique strengths and what are our passions. This is something that we're responsible to figure out in our life. So it's kind of like that violin, you can have that violin and, but we need to find our song, right? Based on our unique taste, our strengths, our passions, what is our song? To fulfill our original value, not only do you need to know the principle, general perspective of God and what God intends for us, but we need to take the time to hone in our strengths and our passions. Second part is the desire that a human being has for it. That's again straight from the principle, the two factors for determining original value. And what this means is that, we can be, refine our strengths and develop our talent. Let's say I'm a musician and I really hone my skill for playing the violin. But in order to complete my original value, I need to actually provide value for others. If I'm in isolation and I'm just playing the song for myself, it actually isn't complete. You need to bring value to others in order to really feel your original value. So what does that mean? That means you not only need to find your song or create your song, but you need to play your song for others. In other words, you need to use your strengths and your passions to bring value to others. Okay, if you just isolate yourself and you find your passion, you meditate on a mountain and you don't engage with any other human beings, then you're not quite fulfilling your full potential, and you're not going to be able to feel your full original value because it's dependent on how it impacts and relates with other human beings. I'm going to read a passage here. To love people is to practice living for the sake of others and foster a spirit of harmony and public service. To love your nation means to cultivate your God-given talents, love your homeland, and build God's kingdom. We all are responsible to raise the next generation of truly good and talented men and women. This is a passage from the book Mother of Peace. So, as I mentioned earlier, it's really important that as you refine your strengths and your passions, you start to really learn how to use those strengths and passions to create value for others. I studied entrepreneurial management in business school, and most of my colleagues went to Wall Street, but I was recruited at the right time. And I felt called. So I ended up going into ministry after graduating from college. And although it didn't make sense on paper, for me, I really felt that I was practicing all of my skills that I learned in business school in entrepreneurial management to develop the ministry. So I felt like I was able to use my talents for the sake of others. And even now, when I was asked to step up in this role as president, I feel like everything I've been learning these past 20 years, even skills like coaching and facilitation, things that I actually really enjoy doing, I'm able to offer in service to others, and thereby really feel my original value by having refined my talents and find a way to serve others through them. So I'm going to get into a story here. There's one factor, even if you're doing, well, let me just jump into the story. So I was serving 5 years in ministry, and I was, this is after college. I mentioned, after graduating college, I went into ministry. I was doing that for 5 years. And I was doing all the right things. I knew my purpose according to, what God intended. I was sharing my strengths, as I said, my entrepreneurial management skills and everything else that I learned. But then suddenly there was a change in leadership at the very top. And, the national pastor at that time had another person in mind to fill this role that I was serving as the youth pastor. So after a few months, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was still, serving and attending. But suddenly I found out over, actually it was over lunch or something. One one of the staff suddenly called me and let me know that I might need to consider looking for another job. And it took me a while to figure out what the message was, but I realized that I was getting fired. Um, and I was totally shocked. I was like, how can I get fired from a job that, you know, no one really, I mean, it's a lot of hard work. And I felt like, you know, it's not an easy job and it's not really high paying either. So I just felt like it was just a shock. Why was I getting fired from this? I ended up picking up an entry level accounting job at a hotel in the meantime. And I remember one moment where I was actually doing inventory, and I was literally counting the sheets, how many sheets were in a closet. And I was like, in the depth of despair, I was like, I graduated from a top business school and I'm counting sheets at an entry level job in a hotel. What the heck am I doing with my life? So my ego was hurt. I really had to soul search. And during that time, I really asked God, what is it that you're planning for me? Why is this happening? And, I came to terms with it. I really felt like, you know what, maybe this is something that, God is having me go through for a reason. And I had to trust that there was something going on that I didn't fully understand. But I trusted that God was always working in my life. So I knew that something was going to happen. Anyway, so the next 3 months, I really invested wholeheartedly in my kind of accounting job. And, there was, did quite well. And eventually, long story short, there's a lot more details, but long story short, I ended up being rehired by the same, by headquarters at that time as the assistant controller. So I was able to enter a new phase, separate from ministry, but really into the more accounting and financial field for a 2-year time period. So I guess the point here is that, sometimes things happen where, you feel like you're doing everything right. And suddenly something happens that's not expected. And it's quite challenging to your ego. But even in those times of trial, if you can really try to see and connect with God and how God sees you, then you can hold on to your sense of value as a child of God instead of losing your complete sense of value because you no longer, have a job. I think this is really important because the secret, actually, we're going to get into that in the next slide. Yeah, the secret to feeling our value really stems from connecting to God's unconditional love for each of us. And I think this is really important. I'm going to repeat that. The secret to feeling our value is connecting to God's unconditional love for each of us. Okay. One story, when I was about 5, I think I was 5, I remember this moment where I don't remember exactly what I did wrong, but I got in trouble, just like kids do, right? We get in trouble. We do something we're not supposed to, and we get in trouble. So I was sulking in my bedroom, and then I remember my father coming into the bedroom, and he had a kind of a big smile, right? And I was like, I remember feeling completely confused. I was like, why is my dad smiling at me? He hates me, he just scolded me. And I really remember feeling really confused. And then he came up to me and he just gave me this big hug and he continued to smile. And I remember like pushing him back, like trying to push away. But at the same time, I didn't know why, but tears were flowing down my face. And And it was only later that I realized, like, I remember just feeling completely confused, but it was later I realized it was because I was feeling this love, this unconditional love, that despite the mistakes I make or the trouble that I cause, really my dad and my parents loves me. And I feel like that is kind of a taste of how God feels towards each of us as well. Many of you know this story. It's from the Bible. I'm going to read it. When they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." Again, he stooped down and wrote on the ground. At this, those who heard began to go away, one at a time, the older ones first, until only Jesus was left, with the woman still standing there. Jesus straightened up and asked her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she said. "Then neither do I condemn you," Jesus declared. "Go now and leave your life of sin." So this is a famous story where, a woman who was really was accused and condemned with adultery, and she was going to be stoned to death. And a lot of people had gathered to do that. And Jesus really felt, if you're going to judge her, let the first person who has not committed sin throw the first stone. And basically, people realized that, we've all sinned in our lives. We've all made mistakes. And so they left. And Jesus really forgave this woman and really practiced this unconditional love. At that time, it was all, there was a strong sense of duty and rules and law. And if you violated a law, you would be punished. But Jesus really introduced this love, this quality of love, of regardless of your sin, if you repent, then you can really be forgiven. And so Jesus really showed this kind of, in one sense, I feel like Jesus, as a true son, was channeling God's unconditional love and really showing humanity, showing all people that this is the kind of love that God has for each of us. So, we might feel like, oh, I'm unworthy sometimes, I make mistakes, I sin, and many times we don't feel like we deserve any love. We deserve God's love. But the truth is that regardless of what you've done in your life, regardless of the bad things you've done, good or bad things, as a parent, parents still love their children. How much more so God, as a heavenly parent, must love each of us, despite, what we've done. So it's really important to be able to tap into and connect to God's unconditional love. So I'm going to read a passage here. God created humankind for the sake of love. Why were human beings created? They were created because of love. The reason human beings are different from other forms of creation is that they were created as God's sons and daughters. They were created as object partners who can receive love directly from Him. Such is the privilege of humankind. So really, both Father and Mother Moon has been really teaching us about who God is, God as a parental figure, really letting us understand this kind of unconditional love and privilege that we have as humankind to receive God's love unconditionally. They shared with us these principles and the holy marriage blessing to also help us to connect with God on a deeper basis. Final passage here. Humanity is seeking the love that comes from true parents. We long to be true sons and daughters who inherit true love, life, and lineage. I open the gates for all to attain true happiness and eternal life. This is from the Mother of Peace. I really feel that Father and Mother Moon has really helped millions of people to connect more deeply with this heart of God. And they really dedicated their lives to attend God as a true son, as a true daughter. And they took responsibility to stand in this role as a couple, the first couple as true parental figures to serve and to love humanity. So I want to end with this section. Once you understand how to experience original value yourself, understand, know, and customize, we want to also be able to help others feel their value. And I think the best way to really do that is to listen to them and acknowledge a person for their strengths or their passions. Listen to their struggles, and just be with them. Just your presence can help people feel their own value. I remember one time I was recruiting and mentoring a member who had so much doubt. She saw her limitation. She's like, I don't know if I can do this. And all I saw was like, yeah, I get that. But I could see she had amazing talent in her authenticity, her attention to detail. And I would always encourage her. She was shy, and I was like, no, just go, just do it, speak, lead these workshops. You got this. And, over time, she was able to gain more confidence in that. And now she has, her own event creating business. Another example is I remember in one of the morning devotions, there was a reflection testimony that was given where one participant was struggling to feel her own value. And it was only when she was actually mentoring or counseling someone else who had the same kind of challenge, as being an offering child, that she was able to realize, wow, my struggle was all worth it because now I can actually help someone else to overcome that same struggle. So it's really through helping others that we can also feel our own value. So if you notice that someone is struggling, take a moment, take time to listen to them and to just be with them. And you can really be an extension of God's love substantially for that person by being present in that way. So in summary, in discovering our original value, first I want to remind everyone, let us understand our purpose as human beings as God designed, but also take time to customize your purpose. Really think about and ask people around you, what do you think are my strengths? And look into what are my passions? What do I uniquely feel joy through doing? It's really important you take time to customize your purpose. Then with that, I want you to really share and bring value to others. Share that talent, share your passion, share that joy with others. And by doing that, not only will you feel your original value, but you'll be sharing that joy with others. And finally, I want you to connect to God's unconditional love. Study the scriptures, study the principle, understand that each one of us are in a position as a child to God, and that God does love us unconditionally, regardless of our past or our sins and things like that. So take time in prayer to really reflect on that relationship. Ask God for for forgiveness, ask God to kind of try to connect to that love. And let us also take time to help others feel their value as well. Here at the Heavenly Parents Holy Community, we really want to invite all to connect to God as our Heavenly Parent. And we strive to create a culture where everyone can develop their talents, share it with others, and feel God's unconditional love. Ultimately, we're all looking for being acknowledged by a parental figure. So we want to encourage our listeners today to reach out to someone this week and share this message of hope with them. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again next week.
All right, thank you so much, President Naokimi. This wonderful message today, sharing the secrets and the principles of original value. Really appreciate your message and your personal stories as well. It's always wonderful. So at this time, I'd like to invite everyone, we're just going to take another moment to reflect on the question that President Naokimi asked us today. So we're going to think about what are some of my strengths and what are some of my passions. All right, welcome back, everyone. Hope you had a good reflection. Next, we're going to invite some live reflections for today. So this morning, I'd like to invite Gino Fleischman and Laura Hornbeck to share some of their thoughts with us. Hello, good morning. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, good morning.
Thank you. So I'd like to start with you, Gino, just to let you share some of the key takeaways for you this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much, President Naokimi. It was a really incredible message. I really like the 2 points you highlighted in the beginning, that when we understand God's purpose for us, and then we find that desire to bring out the value in others, this is really how we can fulfill our original value. It reminds me of one time in my life when Dr. Young, our regional president, he sometimes talks about having a keyword. And there's a time in my life where I made my keyword the phrase, "My life is a gift." And I would focus on this, and I really felt in my heart, wow, I'm so grateful to be alive. God has given me so much. But when I reflected on that phrase more, what I felt was, actually, my life is not a gift for me. My life is a gift that I can give to others. And I felt in my heart, wow, because God has given me so much, I can give to others. I can bring joy to others. And it was in those times of really giving joy to others that I felt the most myself. I felt the most proud of who I am, the most fulfilled. And I think that really speaks to what President Naokimi was saying about what our true value, our original value is. And the last point is just about the power of parental love, the power of unconditional love, and that, God's love and our parents' love, true parents' love, we were all born in love. We were all born and given this unconditional love without deserving it, without earning it. And, these days, my wife and I were expecting our first baby in, several months. And I'm reflecting back on, I'm trying to put myself in my parents' shoes when me and my brothers were being born and were little. back then I was, just a little kid, clueless about what's going on. And, but, now when I try to put myself in their shoes, I can think and realize like, wow, they really cared so much for us. They did so much to prepare a good living environment for us, to provide for us, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And, whoever this little kid is who's going to be born, I don't know who this person is and what they're going to be like, but I know that I love them. And that's really the power of unconditional love. And our value is really rooted in the love that God has for us, the love that our parents have for us, that true parents have for us. And that was a really, really valuable point I got from President Naokimi this morning.
Awesome. Thank you, Jenna. Thank you for sharing, and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming up soon. So exciting news. Thank you. So Laura, I wanted to take the point that Jenna shared, that this point of my life is a gift, and as President Naokimi shared, also we should think about how we can use our passions and our talents to help others. I know you're a wonderful woman, wonderful leader here, and I wanted to ask you, what do you feel like some of your gifts or your talents are that you've been able to share with other people?
Here we go. New question. Oh, well, I have an ability to somehow meet people pretty easily. I think it had to do with growing up and moving around as a child with my family. And by necessity, every year or every other year, I went to a new school and I had to learn how to meet new kids and new neighbors and make friends for my own sake. Actually, it was more pleasant. And I learned to kind of look, I think, for the good in each person. But yeah, and it's sort of it's contagious. If we look at somebody like now, President Naokimi was saying, appreciation and just seeing them, try to see them from, well, I wasn't thinking this as a child, but I do this now. I try to see people from the point of view of God, if possible. It's not easy, but it brings people out. People feel that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I really feel that's what President Naokimi was sharing, that it's when we can appreciate and really be able to see each other's God-given gifts and talents, we can really be able to help other people feel their original value. So that's beautiful. You have that gift in yourself. One other point I wanted for both of you to share on was this. I thought it was an interesting point on customizing our purpose or finding our song, as President Naokimi said. So Jenna, could you share a little bit on that? What does that mean to you? Customizing your purpose or finding your song?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that myself during President Naokimi's message. I think, it's about finding what's my unique strengths. And, I love music. I love playing drums. I love playing the guitar. And I think, when people are talented in a specific area, it's kind of easy to say, okay, this is my talent, my strength. I think a lot of times it's not something that's so, obvious, but like I'm discovering I have a certain talent, or my character is more like to be a mediator. I can be patient. I can listen to people. I can kind of hear what one person's saying and like explain it to another person in the way that they can kind of get it. So that's maybe one of my customized talents. I'm not sure.
No, I agree with you. Sometimes it's not the super obvious things or the things you're extremely talented at or good at, but it can be more subtle. How about you, Laura?
Well, I would say, I'm pretty intellectual. I can explain things. I trained as a teacher. And I think I have a pretty good gift at condensing ideas and helping people see the key points. So,
good point.
It's important for me. I'm not going to accept, any ideas if I can't make sense out of them myself and use them in my daily life. I don't just run with what somebody else tells me, So And that's one of the things I appreciate about the people in our church, our movement. Most people I've met are like that. They've already digested things that they've been taught from the Bible or whatever their religious background was. And then they've just made sense out of it and used it in their daily life. And I really respect so many of you here for that. I mean, almost everybody I've met has been that way.
Thank you, Laura, for sharing. Yeah, being able to really take what we're being taught and put it into practice, really important, especially on this kind of topic. So I just want to thank you both for joining us and for sharing and talking with me. Wonderful to see you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye-bye.
So much.
And before we close for today, I just wanted to let everyone have a chance to be reminded of the challenge for this week, which is to reach out and listen to 3 people this week. So already we had the chance to listen to 2, but find out about their struggles and their passions and acknowledge them. So let's put that challenge into practice. And to wrap us up, we're going to have a closing prayer.
Let's head over to Albuquerque, New Mexico to join Brianna Schneider, YAYAM coordinator of the Southwest, for our closing prayer.
Everyone, please join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Parent, thank you so much for this wonderful day. Thank you for this guidance from President Amy. I really pray that I'm so grateful that you can be with us today all across the nation and the world, that we can be together as a worldwide family. Father, I know that during this last year, during this pandemic, that we've been physically distant. And I'm so grateful for so many opportunities that we can be together in heart and spirit. Father, I pray that in times of doubt, when we're not sure what our value is, that we can remember how you see us, that we are a piece of your heart, your child, and so precious to you. Father, I pray that we can remind ourselves what you love about us, what brings us joy, and therefore what brings you joy. Father, I know that you have longed for us to be in your presence and that it pains you when we are distant from you just by not knowing how much we mean to you. I pray that every day we can remind ourselves that we are precious, that we are talented, that we are a piece of you, a unique aspect of you. I pray that we can also remember how valuable each person is. Each 7.8 billion is a member of your heart, a child of yours. I pray that we can not only see the value in ourselves, but also look out and see the value in each person. That we can no longer be plagued by hate, but really see and seek love every day. I pray that we can express our gifts to one another, but also one of those gifts can be listening and seeing the value in each other. I pray that we can connect as a family, even if we can't be physically together, that we can find ways to unite and see each other. I'm so grateful for all that you bless us with, for this worldwide family, for my own family, for these words today and this reminder how precious we are to you. I love you so much, and I thank you, and I report this in my name, Brianna Schneider, Darfritz Schneider, a blessed Central family. Adieu.
And for our closing song, we're heading over to Mobile, Alabama to hear a wonderful original song titled Road Trip to God, written by Hyun Sung O'Connor and performed by the Gather Family Church Band.
To grow, I want to be strong, I want to right all my wrongs. I have the tools and desire. I have faith, oh I have faith. I'm on a road trip to God. It doesn't matter which path I'm on a road trip to God. All that matters is that I make it am strong, I am righting my wrongs. I have the tools and desire. I have faith, oh I have faith. I'm on a road trip to God. It doesn't matter which path I'm on a road trip to God. All that matters is that I make it to you. Make it to you. Whoa, whoa, I'm on a road trip to God. It doesn't matter which path I'm on a road trip to God. And all that matters is that I make it to you. Make it to you. I'm on a road trip to God. It doesn't matter which path I'm on a road trip to God. All that matters is that I make it to you.
Thank you so much, Gather Family Church and Alabama family, for that beautiful song. And thank you, brothers and sisters, family from around the world. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed today's service, I just want to encourage everyone to show your support. For the price of a coffee, you can support this ministry by typing #coffee in the Facebook chat, or you can go to the nationalfamilyservice.org website and click the Give a Coffee button. Also on that website, you can find local meetups for after service where you can meet brothers and sisters who live around your community. Once again, I just want to thank you so much for joining us. I really hope you could feel God's love as we learned about original value. And we will see you next week here at National Family Service. Thank you so much. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a great week.